Riveting content. Empowering your life. Welcome to The Sphere. This episode is sponsored by
True Digital Media Consulting. You're online right now and so are your customers, but marketing has to be a consistent journey. True Digital Media Consulting can help with your online ads, organic growth, and so much more. Contact us today at 832-934-4436 or visit our website at truedigitalmediaconsulting.com.
Looking to advertise? Join the Sphere's vast demographic reach of thousands of people all over the world. Send an email today to advertise@thesphere.tv or call us at area code 832-772-7789. KOG and Company. Are your unique gifts and talents changing the world? Do you desire to belong to a community of unity? Visit KOGpassion.com to learn more about the Unleash Your Dopeness movement.
Welcome back to the Docs. I am Dr. Keisha Davis, your fitness and pathologist. We are just having another good day, the Docs, and we are here to inspire, to inform, and to keep you living well and taking care of yourself. I've got Dr. Kwanzaa with me. How are you doing?
Hey, what up, what up, what up? What's up, you guys? It's another wonderful, not Monday. It's actually, we're on Wednesday, which is kind of weird, but you know, we're always happy to be here and share some good medical knowledge with you guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed your Martin Luther King Day. And as always, you guys can hit me up on Instagram at Dr._Kwanzaa, CWANZAMD, or Facebook at Dr. Kwanzaa MD, or hit me on my website, www.drkwanzaamd.com, and book me, for some fire DJing or some coaching tips. Holla at your girl.
Before we get into the topic, Monday was MLK Day.
It was.
You got any words of wisdom to give us?
Man, I love MLK Day. And you know why? I've read a lot of his books, a lot of his speeches, and some quotes that I really enjoy by Martin Luther King. There's just so many, but some takeaways I had as I sort of meditated on the purpose of why we celebrate MLK Day. It's just some pertinent things and quotes. And so one thing I like that he said is, whatever your life's work is, do it well. A man should do his job so well that the living, the dead, and the unborn could do it no better. And I think that just speaks to his energy and attitude of service and serving mankind, and just being the activist, the peaceful activist that he was, yes, but yet aggressive at the same time. Pretty dope. And so I always take a lot of time out to reflect on Martin Luther King, and just really honored to learn about his legacy and everything that he's done for our culture, and for segregation, and interesting his viewpoints as they changed over time due to, various circumstances, but super important day. And so I'm really proud of us as the United States for celebrating Martin Luther King Day.
I'm very proud that it's finally a holiday. The kids were off. And
yeah, what'd y'all do?
I try to instill in them the importance of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Though it ends up being a relaxed and video game, or my daughter.
Are you let your kids play video games? I'm shocked.
My son does.
Okay.
My daughter, she's into the YouTube, but we watched a lot of documentaries. We watched Martin Luther King.
Oh, cool.
Then when she watched Autopsy with
Okay.
me
All right.
on The Great Fighter.
Okay.
So we were watching that, and I was like, oh, okay, she kind of likes some of the things mommy's interested in.
Yeah, you got to break her in gently. You get all off into it. And then,
I know.
Did you guys do anything special? It was also the Women's March over the weekend.
Women's March, exactly.
I was working and missed that, so I was kind of bummed about that. But I heard it was off the chain.
I missed it.
I found all the Cardi B quotes and isms
really?
that got thrown around to be quite hilarious. So Cardi B for president. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I just thought it was funny to see so many different people out, just paying deference to women's rights. And I just thought it was funny that she was a key component of many people's posters and signs and thoughts about what they want to see happen in the United States for women. So I thought that was pretty cool. If you didn't see any of it, you got to look it up online.
I'm gonna
it
have
was
to
pretty
check
dope.
this out.
Pretty dope. So
Totally missed it. Well, the topic today is kind of battling the winter battles.
okay.
We know a lot of the common things, but there's some things on here that I wanted to talk about that people don't think about that happen or exacerbate more during the winter months.
Okay.
So it's kind of giving a little review and giving you guys another go back to little medical school.
All right. I love mini medical school. Let's do it. That needs to be a whole
Let's do it,
show.
right? So common winter illnesses. A lot of you are going to say the cold or the flu, right?
Right.
So I'm sure you see that a lot in the ER.
I do.
And it's not, he didn't put a coat on, he didn't wear a hat, so that's why he has a cold.
Right.
Not quite, but the rhinovirus is pretty common, and it usually causes most of the cases a common cold. And it just happens that this virus, number one, is more active during the winter season.
Okay.
And then also because our nasal passages normally are running, the secretions are holding the viruses in and attacking, they believe that what happens during the winter is that the secretions, the cold air, they're not moving as much, so the viruses are getting trapped in and coming into our system. And then the immune system, and what we call the macrophages in medical school or in pathology, these cells are not as active because of the cold, and
Right.
they believe they're inactivating, so that's allowing these viruses to get into our cells and cause havoc, more so in the winter.
Right. And so the interesting thing, rhinovirus, it causes rhinorrhea, which is an interesting play on words now that I think about it. So when we talk about it from the pathological side, from the pathology side, as I should say, that Dr. Keisha does so eloquently, I can tell you the layman's ER doctor terms in which, most people will present with a clear nasal discharge, low-grade fevers. And again, because it's a virus, which is encapsulated inside a cell. Remember, you broke it down for us on that
Exactly.
last episode with Dr. Babineau. Antibiotics are not useful in the treatment of this virus. And so supportive care, lots of fluids, lots of rest, fever control with Motrin and Tylenol. Make sure you check your dosages from either your physician, or you can go online on Google and there's tons of information about how much Motrin and Tylenol you should give. But pretty common winter illness. We see it all the time. And unfortunately, antibiotics do not work for that. And so I encourage you to trust your provider when they're telling you antibiotics is not the best choice in this particular condition unless there's a super infection that we need to know about.
Well, we got them. And then also influenza.
Yes.
But I think so. It's been a lot better than last year.
Oh my goodness, 10 times better. So whatever was going on at the CDC, they got it right this year. They picked the right strain. I guess they were like, yeah, we can't have 2 years in a row of
I know, exactly.
off the chain flu. So it's
didn't
been
take
much
it
better this year.
year.
You didn't?
No.
Why?
Last year I took it and I got sick. I had the flu really, really bad. This year I didn't take it.
Oh no, I took my flu shot for sure.
I made sure the kids did.
Yeah, definitely going in and get my flu shot for sure every year. And one thing to remember about the influenza vaccine, it can make you feel a little achy, it can give you a little low-grade fever. That stuff is all normal and it should pass in a couple of days, but sometimes people will complain about that, and that is a normal and common reaction. I hate to even call it a side effect, but a normal and common reaction after getting a flu vaccine. But pretty important, especially for the elderly and for the very young.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, I got another one for you guys.
What you got? What you got?
Seasonal affective disorder. I think I have this,
Okay.
which is why I live in the warm climate, and
Yeah.
I kind of had to get away from Kansas. But seasonal affective disorder is kind of like the blues, or should they say. But what happens is that it's commonly known as SAD, and it's a type of depression seen during the winter months. People sometimes also lose their jobs, can't even get out of the house, sometimes because of this.
Right. And it's usually related to areas in which there's not a lot of sunshine. So they see it a lot in
Exactly.
Seattle, where it rains most of the year and it's kind of gray and gloomy. What other parts of it? Did they happen to mention where it's more common?
Usually probably up north.
Up north,
You know, days longer.
Right.
Also because it's colder, or places where they're having a lot of snow and you don't get out as often.
Right. And often as providers, that's a good point, because I often don't think about that as a potential cause for depression in patients during this time of year. But that's actually a really real phenomenon described pretty extensively in the literature. And so if you feel like you're having symptoms like that, you can reach out to a therapist or a psychiatrist and see what treatment options are available for you. But again, it tends to typically be self-limiting, related to weather changes, particularly areas where there's not a lot of sunshine. So
there's a little information.
Yeah, a
on
little
it
info
right
up there. But there's treatment options available, especially if you've been having symptoms for more than 4 to 6 weeks. You probably want to see a healthcare provider,
Definitely.
especially if there's no major stressors going on in your life, or extenuating circumstances that may be causing a situational depression or a coping type problem.
Very good. So I have another one. Psoriasis.
You're rolling through today. Okay.
I know.
Oh, this
So
is
now
all
we're going
you
to
right
the
here.
skin. So we're getting to the skin.
I'm
So
not great about
psoriasis
dermatology. Go ahead.
is a common, actually it's pretty common. It's a chronic inflammatory disease of the skin. And what happens is a lot of these people get flaky skin, and it causes patches. The problem is that it can go from the joints. It can affect the fingernails, not just the skin. It can be debilitating. Like these people, if it's not treated right, it's like you don't want to get out. It's very uncomfortable. It's painful. So it's believed that more so in the winter months that a lot of these people have outbreaks. And what Professor Strober actually, and he's a dermatologist at the University of Connecticut. He says that it's the lack of humidity. So during the winter, when you have a lack of humidity in the air, your skin is retaining more moisture. And it causes when you look at it under the microscope, I guess what's causing the problem with the psoriasis, it kind of causes it to flare up because of that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that could be debilitating is if we don't shout out our sponsors. So we got to
Of
give some
course.
love to our sponsors. So this episode is sponsored by True Digital, who we love. Love us in True Digital Media. So you're online right now, and so are your customers. The question is, how do you actively reach them? Marketing has to be a consistent journey, and we're here to walk with you every step of the way. True Digital Media Consulting can help with website development, online ads, your business reputation, and organic growth on search engines. Give us a call today to discuss a customized strategy for your business at 832-934-4436, or send us an email to info@truedigitalmediaconsulting.com. Mention the Sphere to receive a free 30-minute strategy consultation. These consultations aren't cheap, y'all, so y'all better capitalize on that. So info@truedigitalmediaconsulting.com, and mention the Sphere for your free consultation.
Definitely.
Love y'all. Yeah.
Definitely.
So it's interesting about psoriasis.
Yeah.
So I always see the commercials where, I always think it's always interesting how they market medications for different pathologies. But the psoriasis one is really good because they do a really good job of making people feel real itchy.
Oh,
and like they want to
when you're
cover up
watching it.
and then showing, the transformation of using whatever drug they're selling on that particular day to, wearing shorts and
It's just
showing
dramatic.
exposed skin and everything looks clear and bright and
But
non-itchy.
the treatment has come a long way.
Yeah.
And I have seen some people make dramatic recoveries.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty
Yeah,
debilitating. I know a couple of people with psoriasis, and I mean they suffer. I mean I think it's a tough thing, especially for women, to have to deal with really visible plaques and
Yes.
inflammatory like changes on the skin that are very visible. It can do a lot of damage to people's self-esteem and self-confidence, and so any kind of good treatment that works, I mean I can understand
Right.
why people would want to do that for sure.
That's definite.
Yeah. But what did they say? What's the mainstay of treatment these days?
Well, they got the Seroquel. I'm not I'm on the diagnosis side, not
On
the
the diagnosis,
treatment
okay.
side.
I don't know either. I'm just going to be point blank honest. But I think it's some immunotherapy pretty much.
Yeah.
But I know they do some immunomodulation there. But go see a board certified dermatologist if you have
Please
signs
do.
and symptoms of psoriasis, and they can help get you on the right path. Not my area expertise.
And there's
Just
a lot
gotta
of
keep it
overlap
100.
too. There's a
Huh?
lot of overlap
Yeah, there
between
is.
some other,
There is,
especially
there
in the
is.
scalp. It can get in the scalp, and it can be confused with seborrhea dermatitis.
Very
So-
true. Very true.
Check it out.
Yep.
All right, I've got a little quiz for you. It's almost the end of Facebook Live, but before that, if you guys want to check out the next one, it has to do with breathing disorders,
Okay.
shortness of breath, things like
Okay.
that. So if you want to find that out, please check us out. Please subscribe. Facebook Live is going to be ending, and we ask that you
No.
subscribe to our show.
Subscribe now.
Yes. We've got all the major platforms. That's iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Stitcher. And review our show in iTunes. Give us some feedback. Tell us what you want to hear, what you don't want to hear, who you want to see on the show. Please let us know. Share this live post and the entire show with your family and friends. Let them know what's going on. Please keep this going so we can keep the show going in the future. And donate to our mission to bring enriched and inspiring content each and every week. Please donate at thesphere.tv/donate.
Do it.
Yes.
Do it.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Peace, y'all.
So I
What you got
believe
next,
the
Dr. Keisha?
shortness. So we got somebody that
you got a quiz?
comes in shortness of breath,
All right.
or
person or young
repetitive
person?
cough, keeps coughing, can't stop coughing, not a cold. Then you start to think about, okay, what's the history? And the person has asthma.
Okay.
So asthma, and I have exercise-induced asthma, so I know this for a fact.
Is this the
I
quiz?
only get it. Well, say it was a scenario.
Oh.
I'll do the quiz later. Yeah,
Okay.
I got the quiz in a minute.
All right.
So asthma or exercise-induced asthma seems to happen more during the cold winter months. And I know this for a fact because I don't get it until I'm exercising in a certain type of environment where I was outside. It was about 40 degrees first time. And I started coughing to where I couldn't breathe. And I'm like, oh, I forgot my
Yeah.
inhaler.
Mm-hmm. I've been
I
there.
forgot that.
Yeah. It's
Don't
happened to
know
me
what it
too. It
was.
wasn't. I don't know. I've had exercise-induced asthma when I
It's not fun.
hadn't been working out very much, but I usually get over that once my lungs start to expand up a little bit. But I never had any issues with asthma or reactive airway until I moved to Houston, and literally I was like driving down 59, and I've been having some, diminished breathing, I would say, for a couple of weeks. But y'all know me; it takes me a minute to get to the doctor. I've learned better since then. I was just a young attending at that time, Googling and treating myself. And literally I almost passed out. I was like breathing so hard. Like I think I had blown off so much CO2. I started getting lightheaded. I had to
Oh
pull
my
over,
goodness.
got to work and did a breathing treatment. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's all
what
you
it is.
needed.
Yeah.
That's it.
Allergies, man. I'm
Allergies,
convinced
yeah.
that Houston, Texas is trying to kill us on these allergies.
It really is.
But
And they say a lot during the winter. A lot of the triggers are the pet hair mold and mites. And
Yeah.
being inside more,
right.
you're getting more susceptible to that. And number two,
Makes
it's the
sense.
cold air. So the cold air is likely to be giving rise to asthmatic attacks more
Right.
often, which from my daughter, it's the same way. Wintertime, we're always in the pediatrics with asthma.
I think it
Summertime,
just contracts the
not so
smooth
much.
muscle there, or
I think it's
Maybe.
triggering. I think the cold air, because you don't have as much as the secretions do, probably is triggering.
and
The
less
cost.
humidification.
Yeah.
So a couple easy things you can do. You can add a humidifier to your room
Very good.
to help keep the nasal mucosal passages moist and the airways moist. And so that tends to be helpful. And then another very common condition in the wintertime that we see a lot, which is not the same as asthma, which is croup, and it produces more of a high-pitched sound. And it's due to upper airway spasm. And we find that, using things like humidifiers, and also we do breathing treatments and nebulizer treatments with albuterol to help with that. But we see that a lot around the winter season due to the cold air and
That's true, too.
viruses. I think it's like H. influenza is the number one cause on croup, but it's a very high-pitched barking cough like a seal, and pretty characteristic. And most of us who are physicians can kind of pick that out across the room. But again, antibiotics won't treat that. It's just symptomatic care. Yep.
Do you see a lot more asthma during the?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's prime time, baby. It's it's
A lot of
it's
it is
go
a breathing
time.
treatment in the
It is
ER.
steroids to help
course.
modulate the immune receptors and to get the inflammation in the airway down, breathing treatments, and sometimes you got to get pretty aggressive. Terbutaline and magnesium. I tend to be kind of aggressive,
Oh,
so if I
wow.
see you're already looking bad, I'm gonna hit you with everything, try to knock it down pretty quick. But the biggest thing I think for asthmatics is to, number one, make sure you always have your inhaler handy. If you have nebulizers at home and the winter season is coming up, make sure you have a full stock. And if you need steroids and you know that you've responded well to that in the past, you might want to talk with your provider, as you feel the symptoms coming on to prevent a very costly ER visit.
True.
Yep.
All right, before we delve into a couple more, I do need to let you know that this part of the show is sponsored by The Sphere. So if you're starting a business, are you looking for a place to advertise? Do you have to reach thousands of people across the world to build your brand or sell your product? If so, please get your product placement and advertising needs handled right here at The Sphere. We offer a wide variety of content delivery platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Plus, we have a vast demographic reaching within the United States as well as modern countries across the globe. So our enriched content and inspiring dialogue coupled with your strategy is surely to hit the mark every time. Call us today at 832-772-7789 or please send us an email over to advertise@thesphere.tv. All right, a couple of uncommon, well, not uncommon, but not seem to associate so much with the cold months is cardiovascular disease.
Yeah, I was reading that and I was like,
Yeah.
I never really thought about that in terms of associating that with cold.
And I guess you would
weather.
also have to see, am I really seeing more cases in the ER? Am I seeing more during the winter? But they believe that the cold weather makes the body and the heart have to work more with the cardio output and as long as the function. So you're putting a strain more on the heart. As a result, heart attacks can be more common in the winter months and strokes.
Okay, I didn't.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna have to pay attention. You know what? Not that you're I have seen a lot more stroke symptoms in the last 2 weeks.
Interesting.
That's weird. I never.
Mhm.
You were just bringing up some little pearls here I didn't think about.
I know.
Yeah, and so we do see a lot of that, and so especially if you have advanced cardiopulmonary disease, if your body is already stressed, adjusting to severe weather conditions, I could see where it could put some additional strain there, increase your cardiac output, and we'll probably do see a higher trending number in the amount of elevated cardiac enzymes that could just be due to chronic stress on the heart, and it may be seasonally related. I never really thought about it in that fashion, but that's pretty interesting. Pretty cool.
Very interesting.
That's a good
Yeah.
find. I like that
That's
one.
a good one.
I'm
Here's
gonna
another
tell
good
somebody
one.
that tomorrow. Be like, girl, your enzymes up because it's cold outside. Stressing you out. Stressing you out. No, I like that. That's cool.
Another good one. Hot tub folliculitis.
Oh, that's real.
Always
Okay.
hear about this. So Pseudomonas aeruginosa is the bacteria that we're talking about here. And what happens is that during these months, a lot of people in the hot tub.
Right.
Got to go get in the hot tub, right?
Right.
It's cold, got to drop in. Well, this bacteria lives in the hot temperatures in the water.
That's why
So
I
when
don't
you're
do
getting
public
in,
hot tub.
yeah, when you get in, along with a couple of other infections as well. But when you get into the water at this temperature, this bacteria just gets into your skin and gets into the follicles, and it can be a pretty suppurative bad infection.
Yeah, it looks pretty disgusting, actually.
Yeah.
It's like big old bumps sitting up under the hair follicles, and it's pretty pathognomonic. I mean, it's usually like in a pretty discrete distribution, and it's right along the hair follicles, and so you can't really miss it. I mean, once you
Right.
see it, but that's
So
why I
be
don't
careful
fool with.
getting in them and putting
Yeah.
your children in them. Because these, unfortunately, hot tubs, unlike the chlorine
Yeah.
water that's in the pool, they're not putting that chlorine in there. So you don't want your children to have that.
You don't. It's pretty
But-
gross. That's why I don't do public pools too much. I try my best. Lord, I try my best. But, on vacation, you got to do what you got to do.
I
You
have
gotta
to.
do what you got to do.
So I'm sure you can relate to this with your lupus, arthritis in
Right.
general, of course, during the cold months. probably increased cases, more stiff joints. They believe some of it, though, is not really, they can't find a causal relationship through studies, but they think that, okay, during these times, a lot of people the mood is down, right? The seasonal affective disorder. So the increased perception of pain may be more in the joints, or they may feel a little stiffer, and so they attribute that to pain.
No, that joint is real. Like, I don't know. And it's so weird. And I don't have a good explanation. I mean, I've heard different theories about the synovium becoming a little bit more inflamed during cold weather.
That could be.
And so I don't know if that's true or not. But I mean, sure enough, my mom would be straight on when she's like, my knee is hurting. It's going to be cold, or it's going to rain. Or, you know, I definitely feel more joint pain when the cold weather hits. Luckily, that's better now. But yeah, so I think it's actually related to the synovium, something with the synovial fluid, but not 100%. But you know what? We missed one of my favorite sponsors. We got to do it. Oh my God. So this portion of the show is sponsored by KOG and Company. Are your unique gifts and talents changing the world? Unleash Your Dopeness is a people empowerment movement built to encourage the masses to operate outside of their fears and have the gall to recklessly pursue their dreams and passions in life. Join thousands of others as we unlock the greatness that dwells inside. Shop dope gear at KOGpassion.com. That's KOGpassion.com. And use coupon code DOPE exclamation for 10% off exclusive Unleash Your Dopeness apparel. Act now. Sizes are selling out fast. Yeah. Do it.
And I know with rheumatoid arthritis too, I'm pretty sure as well, they say like morning times or first getting up is usually when the symptoms are more, and probably with the cold. So, I mean,
I don't know. I feel it kind of throughout the day. Like, and I notice, like, if I'm off of my, like, because my schedule's more erratic, if I'm off on my medication routine, you know, I'll feel it. And I always, like, laugh about, I always say I have fat elbows when I start getting inflamed. Like, that's always, like, my little trigger. I'm always like, yo, like, my elbow's getting fat, like, I must have missed something or I ate something, but I've been on this gluten-free thing for a couple weeks now, and I've been feeling a lot better, actually. Yeah, I have like a pretty significant change. So I'm really working at it this year. I'm going to try to be able to naturally, you know, if it makes sense with my inflammatory markers as time goes on, if I can make some changes through dietary changes, I'm going to do it. That's been working well, and intermittent fasting, believe it or not.
Yeah. So, that works too.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I'm always needing to eat right before I work out, and then I start to feel lightheaded. And
I mean, it's not bad for me. It works okay for my schedule because I find that I do a lot of late night snacking because, like, you know, I'll get off at 11. You know, you're wound up for a couple hours, and I'm like, let me see what we got in here. So it kind of keeps me on a little clock, but yeah, it can be like that. 8:16 is pretty rough, but I've noticed improvements in my joint pain, so I'm not going to complain about it, and we'll see what happens. So
that's good.
I might be moving to your train and your thought process on food, since I'm seeing a little change here.
And then I'll see you back at some classes, even online.
Actually, I can probably come this Tuesday since I'm going to be off.
Good.
Let's do it. I'm down.
Good. And that seasonal affective disorder is real.
Yeah.
So I suggest getting outside, keep moving, find a way to keep warm. Even me, it's hard for me to get out when it's cold.
Yeah.
So just put on another layer of clothes, and by the time you're moving around, you'll forget that it's cold outside.
Well,
and you'll feel a lot better.
And even if you are not able to get outside from a, what's the best way to phrase this? From a energetic perspective, like, you have to ground yourself. Everything is energy. I'm not gonna get all off into it today, but you have to ground your feet like on some ground without shoes on to sort of get in alignment. And so it's super important. So either if you're not getting outside to where you can breathe some fresh air, you got to put your feet on the ground, do something so that you can sort of connect yourself, but super important. And don't let the weather be your excuse not to get to the gym. There's lots of options you can do.
Lots of options. Yes.
Look at you. I'm over here preaching your normal
I'm so proud
your normal
of you.
talk today.
I don't even have to say anything. But I will say that you can definitely reach me at Dance Health Fitness
Yeah.
LLC. Please, on Facebook, I'm doing some online classes as well as in person. It's really important to keep yourself grounded mentally, physically, and socially and spiritually. So keeping that in mind, a quick diet, the ketone thing, I know it's big, but no matter what you're doing, make sure that it's something that can last and works well with your lifestyle.
I agree with that.
Yes.
I 100% agree. And yeah, make sure you check her page out. Run that again. What's your page?
Dance Health Fitness LLC on Facebook.
And what's
Or
your other one?
KDMD_health on Instagram. I'm learning it. I'm learning Instagram, so please, I got some
Yep.
neat pictures on there. I just
We're
want
gonna
to
get your hashtags up. We're gonna get your
Yes,
hashtags
I'm
up.
gonna
I
work
got
on
you.
my
I got you.
hashtags.
Yeah, but you also have another website.
I do. Ask
Has
Path
it
is
started yet?
coming.
Have you launched it yet?
It is open, but it's not physically.
Okay,
right
so
there.
you haven't
Still doing the
launched yet.
background.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
I
That's
will let
gonna
you
be
know on
dope.
yes, I will let you know on the launch date of Ask Path, where everyone can come and ask their questions about biopsy, test results, and get a pathologist perspective.
Awesome. Well, you guys know me. You can always hit me up anytime. Definitely doing some more coaching and DJing these days. I have been working my tail off. This administrative side of the ER is really interesting. I've been learning a lot these last couple of weeks, so it's been kind of interesting learning the business of hospital medicine. So that's been interesting. We actually should probably do a show topic on that because it's
Yeah.
really a unique perspective and very different in terms of your clinical work versus the business side of hospital mechanics and how they run things. But you guys can always hit me up on Facebook again at Dr. Kwanzaa MD or Instagram at Dr._Kwanzaa MD. And I'm gonna probably start doing some videos a little heavier into my coaching program. We're gonna start spilling that out closer to springtime. And then any event you need me for, holla at your girl. I'm taking bookings right now. Love to be at your event. And just look forward to seeing you anytime I can. So I guess we'll catch you guys next week.
Bye. Take care.
Peace, y'all.